Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, my dear brothers and sisters, viewers and friends of Iqra TV. Today we've been talking about the need for more Muslim families to become foster carers. I have in my program so far been joined by Brother Saqib Junaida and Sister Andrea Hunt. And Sister Andrea has been telling us about how over the past more than 20 years she has been fostering children, particularly from the Muslim background, Muslim faith communities, and how she has over the years fostered 101 children of all ages, and that her experience and her knowledge around this issue is absolutely phenomenal. But the most important bit was that she started fostering Muslim children, and as a consequence of that she learned more about Islam, and the more she learnt about Islam, she actually then reverted to the Muslim faith and became a Muslim herself. And that is a powerful testament of how becoming a foster parent can actually help you in your own personal development. Brother Saqib has been telling us about some of the figures that we have in the care system at the moment. He's told us that there are about 7,000 children, 5,000 of whom are children most likely and most probably children of parents who have a long history of staying in this country, being part of this country. So let me go back to Saqib at the moment. Saqib, when I used to have Shadim coming on my program, he used to share with us some of the challenges and the difficulties that parents, husbands and wives who wanted to become foster carers used to navigate through. Has that process changed in the last year and a half or anything like that, or is it still the same? Oh, sorry, I've been told that we haven't got Saqib at the moment. So we have Sister Aisha on the phone at the moment. And I don't know if Sister Andrea can hear me as well. Sister Aisha, welcome to Iqra TV and Real Talk. Thank you for joining us. You've been telling me that you've been a foster parent for 17 years, mashallah. What led you to become a foster parent?
Yes, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum
So
salam.
yes, we've been fostering now for 17 years, my husband and I.
Subhanallah.
And what led us to fostering is that we actually saw, this is actually a story where we just gotten married. We were newly married, only a few months into the marriage, so we didn't have any children of our own. And I saw an advert in a newspaper,
right.
And the advert said that they were looking for foster carers because a lot of Muslim children were coming into the care system and they were losing their faith, their identity, their background, because they were being placed with English carers. Mm-hmm. And if we had, a spare room and we had the capacity to support, we should get involved. And really, to be honest, when I saw that advert, it really made my heart sink that Muslim children are coming into the care system, not just Muslim children from this country, but obviously a lot of asylum seekers. A large proportion of them are from the Muslim background. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are Muslim, and that they were coming into the care system and not being given the right guidance and support.
Right.
So they were finding it very, very difficult to hold on to their religion. They were finding it difficult to learn about their religion, their faith, their values, and they were losing it very, very quickly in a non-Muslim environment. So this is why I thought it was, to be honest, I thought it was frozen upon me. It was incumbent upon me to get involved.
Subhanallah. You sound very young, but you've been fostering for 17 years, right?
I'm not young, brother. But
you sound very young, mashallah.
Don't be deceived. Don't be deceived by the voice. I'm not young, brother, no.
Now, obviously, this 17 years of experience itself, I mean, have you been blessed with your own children as well in the meantime?
Yes. I've got 4 sons now, mashallah. So
Subhanallah, mashallah.
Yes,
so while you have your own children, you've obviously fostered, Muslim children as well. How do you feel it's enriched your own lives, yours and your husband's and the rest of the family?
It's enriched our lives in many ways, because I feel like when I tell people, I don't say I've got 4 sons, I say I've got 5 sons, because really the foster children, we've always had sort of males, like boys in our house, because I've got 4 boys of my own, so it's just easier, in terms of the gender dynamics, and Islamically it's just easier. So I've always regarded the 5th young person, the fostered young person, as my son as well, and they've mixed in really well, mashallah. There hasn't been that conflict, sometimes you might get between children, because I've always kept an age gap between my children and the foster child of at least 4 or 5 years.
Right,
So there's a maturity there and there's an understanding there, so that conflict doesn't occur. But yeah, no, it's enriched our lives in many ways. Now we have, the foster children I've fostered in the past from mainly unaccompanied asylum seekers from Morocco, Kosovo, Albania, Somalia. Yeah, all the countries.
May Allah reward you both in this world and the world hereafter. And the Prophet ﷺ made a great play about looking after orphans, etc. I mean, he was saying, he said that you look after an orphan, and if you look after an orphan, you'll be like this with me in Jannah. Now, you can't get a stronger bond in Jannah with the Prophet ﷺ than the two fingers as close as they can get. I mean, I know Shakib is back online. Shakib, welcome to join us again. I mean, obviously, one of the difficulties of this program is by the time we get into the program properly, it's time to end. So, and that is one of the challenges I have. I mean, Sister Aisha has given us a real sort of emotional uplift in the sense. Yeah, she can hear us, she can hear all of us as well. A really emotional uplift as well by saying that, sharing her experiences with us. Now, Sister Aisha and Shakib, can I say, if somebody wants, watching this program, and inshallah, hopefully, they'll be empowered to think, right, I would like to do this. Right?
Yes.
And I know Sister Andrea said that, she went through this process as well. But can you just elaborate a little bit about what sort of questions and answers, or what sort of processes do people have to go through in order to become a foster carer?
Yeah, I think you've started on the right point there. The first thing is to have the right intention, because with foster caring, you've got you get paid to be a carer, to look after these children. That's something that you're going to be in a way rewarded for in this world. You get paid. You're getting some financial. It's an income if you do 2 children or more, and you carry on like this for the whole year. That can be an income. But also, if you have
that is not the primary objective of most people, is it? It just helps.
Well,
it just helps
you see,
them.
Yeah. But this is the other thing, is that if you also have the intention of wanting to do good for these children, that's your reward in the hereafter also.
Yeah, of course.
So it's a win-win situation. And so we encourage people to become foster carers. Yes, you will get paid for it as well. That's a fantastic thing. But also have that intention that when you meet Allah, that these young people, fantastic stories that we heard from Andrea, that Aisha, mashallah, she's got some fantastic stories to tell as well. These are encouragements for people to come forward as foster carers. Now, in the past, what we would find is that when Muslims would come forward, they would go through challenges. So we did a report called The Barriers that Muslim foster carers are facing when they come forward in the sector to become foster carers. That was, a report that we launched at the end of 2018, early 2019.
All right.
But actually, over time and the work that we've done, we do a lot of training with social workers in the sector. I know Andrea is one of our trainers. Aisha is also one of our trainers.
Oh wow, subhanallah.
Mashallah, we've got a fantastic network and a support network of Muslim foster carers up and down the country.
Right.
And they're part of the training that we give to these social workers. And they will ask you questions around, do you have a spare home? They will ask you questions about, will you be able to give these children time? They will want to know what you are like as a person. They would want to know references about you from your, and if it's you and your partner going together into the process, they'd want to know other references that will talk about yourself and your partner. And it's a very intrusive process.
It needs to be, doesn't it? It needs to be.
Absolutely, because you will be placing a child with somebody. You want to make sure that they will look after that child and that's the right person, the right family to put the child with. And of course, the social worker will do all of those checks. And then eventually it will go to the panel who will, look at the whole thing. And mashallah, Aisha, I know she sits on a number of fostering panels down here in London. And perhaps Aisha, if there are any other things that I might have missed that are quite important, is she still with us?
Yes, I've been told she was. She's still with us, sir.
Aisha, if there's anything that you want to add, I think it'd be great to hear from yourself in terms of the process of somebody becoming a foster carer.
Yeah, that's really useful. You've explained it really well, Shakib. So just to add to that, I mean, the process can take quite long because, as Shakib said, it is quite intrusive. It is very, very detailed, but it has to be because you have to realise that children and young people who are coming into the care of the state are being placed in your home. The process can take anything between 6 months upwards, so 6 to 8 months.
Right.
In a particularly sort of lengthier case, it may take up to 9 months, but a quicker case may take about 6 months. And the social worker will come round and they will interview and speak to the main foster carer, which may be, it can be a single person or you can do it as a married couple. So the local authority accept all types of foster carers, and they will ask questions. For example, a married couple, the husband and wife. And they will fill in what's called a Form F assessment. And the Form F assessment will ask questions around, it will start with your background, your own upbringing, and then it will go into your motivation and why you want to foster. And then it will look at your skills and experience that you are bringing to the role. And that will relate to both your transferable skills that you've got from, your own life skills that you've got from raising your own children if you've got birth children, and how you've brought them up and how you discipline them. And if you don't have birth children, they'll look at other experiences of your nieces, nephews, family members. They'll also look at your qualifications and your educational background, and so on.
Sorry to interrupt you. Obviously, obviously it's a very deep dive into your life, basically.
Very deep,
right?
Yeah.
And I know Sister Andrea, obviously, as Shakib has just said to us, you're part of the training team that trains social workers. But I mean, we are running out of time, but can I ask, maybe 20 years ago, we knew that the local authorities were not as knowledgeable and as aware of the needs of the Muslim community, or for that matter, the black community, and I use the term black as a generic term. Do you think that is slightly changed, or is there change taking place?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, that's one really important consideration now is that we know two things that are really, really important here. First of all, a lot of the social work teams across up and down the country have had this sorts of training.
Right.
While people change and people come in and out of the sector, we're constantly going to be there giving that training. But the second thing that's really important is the support network. Go back 5-10 years ago, those early foster carers, Andrea will tell you that there weren't that many people around to support.
Exactly, yes.
Now we've got a big Muslim support network up and down the country, and that makes all the difference. When you've got somebody that that got your back, it makes all the difference.
You support each other, and if anybody's got a difficulty or a problem, that they can contact somebody else who's also fostering.
And it gives the person that confidence.
Yeah, it empowers them as well, I presume.
And it empowers them. And sometimes what happens is that someone can feel, I'm not sure how to deal with the situation, even if it's with a child or with the carer or with the social worker. But actually, if you just talk through it, you've got that space to be able to make that decision properly and what to do, how to deal with it. And that's what we're doing. That's the kind of support that we're now providing, which I think is making all the difference, alhamdulillah.
Subhanallah. Sister Andrea, obviously you've had over 27 years, 20 years of experience doing this. I mean, very quickly, can you tell us how long would you want to continue? Do you want to continue this for as long as possible?
I do, yes. I shall continue for as long as that I'm still giving good quality care. I regard that we all get older, tireder, hopefully remain well, hopefully.
Inshallah.
Having said that, I think maybe at a time when I couldn't perhaps be so hands-on or running a busy household when I'm older, I think I would move on to something like supported lodgings for care leavers so that they can, with the house that I have, I would still like it full and I would still like it fully.
Subhanallah, may Allah give you even more strength. I need to move on because we've got just less than a minute, just about a minute. I mean, Sister Aisha, your experience is obviously very important, and I'm sure our viewers who've heard you will be enamored by what you had to share. And what was if I was said to you, give us 15 seconds to encourage somebody to become a foster carer, what would you say to them?
I would say it's probably one of the best things that you'll ever do even in terms of sadaqah jariyah, because you're supporting someone, you're adding value, to their lives, and to be honest, you get more from it than they do. This is my view, because it enriches your life. You learn about a young person and you get to know them and make them a family member, and it's enriching and beneficial all round. It's a huge reward.
Thank you very much. And much more importantly, you're hopefully, by all of you doing this work, you are keeping their iman safe and sound, inshallah. You're giving them that opportunity to maintain that link with Allah, and that is probably the most important element of this. Shakib, thank you very much. I'm sorry we're running out of time. Inshallah, I'd love to have you, either all of you or some of you, in my studio where we can have a live discussion. I hope my viewers, I hope you found this today's program of some interest and value. I would encourage you to look deep down into your own hearts and think about fostering children, particularly from the Muslim community. There's over 7,000 children out there who are looking for Muslim parents. Inshallah, think about it. In the meantime, thank you very much for joining us. Inshallah, I'll be with you next week. In the meantime, take care. May Allah be with you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Make dua for all of us.
Wa alaikum salam.
Wow.